Bing. Yep. Extra late tonight. Per my name, NightGod333. How is everybody doing? Welcome to my live stream. Not much. What's happening, Chase? How are my YouTube people doing tonight? Good to see you guys. Goldo, what's happening? I'm doing good. So Joshua, yes, my full videos. If you go to my page, bro, if you go to my page, click the watch video tab. This is on my in all my YouTubers. What's good, Jay? How you doing, my man? I know it's late, dude. It's late. I wanted to start the live at midnight, but you know, I started reading up on some stuff and I started studying up on some stuff and I kind of fell down the rabbit hole for a little bit. So here we are. But yeah, so that's why I'm late. And oh no, sorry. Click the watch video tab on my page, bro. It'll take you to my YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. What videos have been pulled, my friend? I'm not sure about that. Best way to go watch most of my videos, though, there, Ricky De La Rosa. Check out my YouTube, bro. I got everything on YouTube. Yeah, sorry I'm so late, you guys. I won't be like this all the time. I'm going to try and get to more like midnight, 11 o'clock. But, you know, what's nice is all my lives, they're recorded, and then I upload them to my my page afterwards so you can rewatch them. Unfortunately, it won't be really live, but hey. Hey, Tony Van Diesel, I appreciate the donation, my boy. Good man, good man. Hi, new to your channel, but found it and now I'm hooked. Hey, that's what we like to hear. Dre in the house. What's good, Dre? Hey, bro. I'm going to be reading off that source you sent me. That had some good stuff, my guy. You are pretty cool. Thanks, Stripe. All right, cool, bro. Yeah, I'll check that Telegram out. I also have a Telegram. I really don't use it much. I mean, I upload here and there to it, but I'm all about them platforms that pay. So, and actually, that's kind of what I kind of fell into the rabbit hole on. My Facebook page is really close to. I have to have 600,000 watch minutes. I don't know how that translates to 60. I don't know, like so many hours, 10,000 hours maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's what I kind of was looking at too at the moment. I appreciate any gifts. Thank you so much, you guys. You rock on that. Glad to see you guys too. So what I'm going to talk about tonight. So this is, I guess I'm trying to figure out an introduction. No cap with Night God. We're always cracking craniums and finding gems. How about that for now? So we're going to get started here. Secrets of the subterranean cities is what I'm going to talk about tonight. Okay. My boy Dre here, friend of mine on Instagram, he sent me a amazing source on the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. Okay. So I started reading about it, and they talked about the subterranean cities where they now live today. Okay. And their way of life, which I found very intriguing. It starts out about roundabouts when they went there, which was about 12,000 years ago, there was a conflict between the Atlanteans and Lemurians over different ideologies, and it led to a great Earth War. Okay, and it was a thermonuclear war. They had super advanced tech, and it ravaged the Earth, causing her to more or less get angry and start having cataclysms, earthquakes, massive pole shifts, stuff like that. So it drove a lot of these Atlanteans and Lemurians into the subterranean pockets. Okay, well, they established massive cities underground, and their way of life is very intriguing. So I'm just going to start from the top. I'm kind of going to do a little reading. It's going to be a little reading, but if you listen to it, it's very cool. I believe it's true myself. I believe it's true. Whether you do or not, that's up to you. But intriguing nonetheless. Okay? Intriguing nonetheless. So it starts out, let me tell you a tale of two continents. One in the Atlantic, called Atlantis. Another in the Pacific, called Lemuria, or Mu, Mother Earth. 25,000 years ago, these two continents were battling each other on the ideology of the day. Look at them as the two largest children on the block and the two highest civilizations at the time. They both had two different ideas about which direction the civilization should go. So I'm going to cite this source, you guys, just so I'm not like infringing or doing any type of copywriting. So the title of this is called Secrets of the Subterranean Cities by Shamballah Dux, D-U-X. So if you guys want to go find it, there you have it, from Soulwise website. Interesting. So I guess I'll read a little background of her. Shamballah Dux is a princess of the Okay, wild. So Shamballah Dux is a princess of the underground city of Telos. Telos is situated beneath Mount Shasta in Northern California. The ancient continent of Lemuria relocated 25,000 of its inhabitants to Telos just prior to the destruction and sinking of the continent of Mu, which transpired as a direct result of the Atlantean and Lemurian War. And I know you guys have heard me talk about that war a lot. Okay? That conflict took place nearly 12,000 years ago. Okay, and this is obviously probably a couple years old website, so give or take. Shamballah has emerged from her subterranean home to bring to the surface the higher truths that have been taught and lived for thousands of years. So this story is supposedly written by her. I wondered why it was written like in the first person, as if she had been the one to live it out. So there you go. Higher truths that have been taught and lived for thousands of years. Her story will amaze and inspire you as you discover how a Telosian lives his and her life from conception all the way through adulthood. Wait till you guys hear this. I mean, how they, from birth and how they have kids. And I would say it's super advanced, like the thought process, the inherent good, just their way of life is like almost perfect. I mean, that's what they strive for, right? So, amazing story. You're going to want to hear it. So that's what it is. So there you go. It's by a, I didn't even realize it, but supposedly a princess that lived in Telos. Okay? So, the Atlanteans and Lemurians had two different ideologies about which way civilization should go. The Lemurians felt the other less evolved cultures should be left alone to continue on their own evolution scale. The Atlanteans believed that all the less evolved cultures should be brought under sway by the two evolved cultures. This caused a series of wars between Atlantis and Lemuria. So basically, the Atlanteans wanted to enslave everybody. The Lemurians did not. They wanted to let them be and see what they could do. All right? This caused a series of wars between Atlantis and Lemuria. In these series of wars, thermonuclear devices were used, and when the wars were over and the dust cleared, in reality, there was no winner. The outback in Australia, the Mojave Desert, parts of the Gobi Desert, and the Sahara are all remains that remind man of the futility of this type of war. So, what are they saying? The deserts we have on Earth today are the result of nukes. All right? And a lot of them you can find evidence of that, like Libyan desert glass. Libyan desert glass is found all over Libya, and is basically sand that got put under extreme heat and literally turned to glass, like in an instant. So during the wars themselves, people highly civilized stooped to quite low levels, but they too at the end realized the futility of such behavior. Lemuria and Atlantis itself became the victims of their own aggressions. Both the Lemurian homeland and the Atlantean homeland had been weakened by the wars. Thus, they knew that in about 15,000 years, both of their continents would sink completely. The Atlanteans had their second set of cataclysms, which reduced Atlantis from a large continent to a series of islands. Lemuria, in essence, did somewhat of the same. However, you might say, well, what did that? Why would the people be upset at the time for something that was going to happen 15,000 years in the future? So why would they be upset knowing that their island is going to sink 15,000 years into the future? Check this out. In those days, people lived on average for 20 to 30,000 years. 20 to 30,000 years. That's the first account I've ever heard anything or any source say that people lived that long on Earth at one time. Now the Bible, Noah was 800. A couple people maybe I think Abraham lived quite a while, 1,000 years. You hear about people living up to 1,000 years, but I've never heard the 20 to 30,000 years. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? See, there you go. My boy Dre over here, man. One of the most knowledgeable people I know, right there with Monstro. Just G's when it comes to the underground stuff. He just said that Sumerian kings reigned for 25,000 years or more. Wild, right? Appreciate you, Dre. This source is just amazing, dude. So amazing. So Telos and the subterranean cities. Okay, so continue on here. When Lemuria, which went down first, almost 200 years before Atlantis sunk, petitioned the Agartha network. The Agartha network of subterranean cities that is guided, by a city called Shamballah the Lesser, to distinguish it from Shamballah the Greater, which is the etheric Shambhala over the Gobi Desert. Interesting. Shambhala the Lesser was created when the continent of Hyperborea, which was supposedly the land of the giants, was vacated after Earth lost her mantle and the planet started receiving radioactive waves that they had not been victim to in earlier times. It's the first time I've ever heard that theory. So they started building subterranean cities over 100,000 years ago, y'all. When Atlantis and Lemuria petitioned to build subterranean cities themselves and be accepted into the Agartha network, they had to prove to Shambhala the Lesser that they had learned from the lessons of their war. They had learned the lessons of oppression. And they also had to prove it to many other agencies, such as the Confederation, which we will go into a little later. So the story goes that they had to gather all leaders of all the factions of the subterranean cities. And they had to take a vote. Okay? They have a council. I want to say it's a council of 12, right? One representing each civilization that lives in the subterranean pockets. 6 men, 6 women. And they vote. and they voted whether or not they should let this warring faction of people into their world. Because in the subterranean pockets, they have super advanced tech, right? The sphere of Amenti is down there. The Ark of the Covenant, energy like that. Ankh energy, the energy that made the pyramids. Great technologies. So when they're allowing them in there, they're having faith that they're not going to use them for evil intents, right? Evil intents. Knowledge is power, baby. Yes, sir. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to go off base with the comments too much. So I got a couple complaints on a side note. People saying, hey, stick to the content. Don't try to talk to the commenters. But, that's easy for them to say because once in a while you like to interact with the commenters, too, to let them know that you're reading their comments, So it's a fine line. There's always a critic, guys. There's always a critic. So because Atlantis and Lemuria had both been members of the Confederation, and when they started their warlike efforts against each other, they were expelled temporarily from the Confederation and had to prove that they had also learned from the lessons of peace to be allowed to be members of the Confederation again and to be accepted back in. The Confederation, I'm going to say, is something like the Alliance, or it's the Galactic Federation, right? Mount Shasta is where the Lemurians chose to build their city, which is in California, part of the area of the Lemurian lands. And they understood that Mount Shasta and those areas of California would survive the cataclysms. Mount Shasta already being a place of great sacredness on this planet. They chose to reroute the lava tunnels from Shasta itself so that the volcano would never erupt again. So people that think Mount Shasta is active, it's not. So crazy stuff. Yeah, they can literally reroute lava tunnels. They have the technology to reroute the lava tunnels. So any volcano out there, they can essentially shut off. I mean, more or less. Appreciate you, Tony. Appreciate the donations for real. Mount Shasta's were okay, and there was already a very large domed cavern within it, and they decided to build upon that, and they constructed the city that now we call Telos. Okay, now it is said that a third of all presidents have gone to the city of Telos to meet their leaders. Almost every other, or every few sitting presidents. Now, the presidents that didn't get to go were the ones that usually said they were going to cry wolf on the alien conspiracy, right? People like Bill Clinton, they didn't allow him to know about the aliens. There was Jimmy Carter, who was also going to cry wolf on ETs, but they were not let in. Guys like Reagan, who believed in aliens, but did not say he was going to disclose it, were let in. So the guys like Reagan, I'm pretty sure Trump as well, probably did meet the leader of the underground city of Telos. So crazy little side note there. Telos was the name of the whole area, of much of which is now the Southwest, and much of what is now California was originally called Telos, which meant communication with spirit, oneness with spirit, which is what the Lemurians are about. Understanding with spirit. It was constructed to hold a maximum of 2 million people. When the cataclysm started, only 25,000 made it. Many had been brought to Telos before the cataclysm started, but when the second set started in Lemuria, the volcano started erupting so fast and sent so much debris into the air that while they had intended to save at least 1 million people from the Lemurian mainlands, they were only able to save 25,000. So that's how severe these cataclysms were, guys. Thus, that was what was left of the Lemurian culture of the Lemurian mainland. Already the records had been brought from Lemuria to Telos, and already the temples had been built in Telos. Okay? So these guys were, you guys, super advanced. I mean, which is all the more wild as to why they were involved in such a great war, right? You would think being such an advanced civilization, but we got to look back and we got to say, we got to thank the Lemurians, right? I mean, the Lemurians were the ones that fought for our freedom, more or less. We could still be slaves today, right? To the Atlanteans, and I believe that they were involved with the draconian Annunaki as well, the reptilian Annunaki. So, thank you, to them. I mean, we could still be harvesting and mining gold in probably like places like the Grand Canyon today, if it weren't for this good faction of higher beings that they wanted to fight for us, right? Which crazy stuff, wild stuff. The reptilian Anunnaki, so they're known to be a warring faction. I talked about this a little in my last live, but this gets a little more into detail on it. So it's goes way back. I mean, I'll do a video too on the lore, or not the lore, but the story of how and when the reptilian Anunnaki infiltrated the Atlantean society and more or less corrupted them into wanting to be a dominant force over others. Really, I mean, that's the thing that kind of corrupted and the bad seed that got planted in the Atlantean mind. Superiority, right? Hierarchy. The Anunnaki reptilians corrupted their minds into thinking that they were better than anybody else. And they may have been, right? I mean, essentially, they may have been more advanced, bigger, stronger, faster, better tech, but it doesn't necessarily give you the right to just dominate over somebody or some other culture just because you are, the cool kid on the block, right? So good thing we got these Lemurians here who had our back. So while Lemuria, or what was left of Lemuria, mainly Telos, was coping with the aftermath of the destruction of their continent, the earthquakes continued. During these earthquakes, the earth shook so hard that in many, many places, it went right off of what you would now call the Richter scale. So, what do we say? Magnitude 7 earthquakes are just like devastating. Well, they were saying that when a continent sinks, the whole planet reacts. Earthquakes that reach the equivalent of a 15 point on the Richter scale. So double, 2 times what we say is a bad earthquake. I mean, you're talking shaking islands to the bottom of the ocean, you guys. You're talking tsunamis. I've heard and read a mile tall, right? Mile tall. So real stuff. These earthquakes were so intense that many people died from just the sound. Just the sound alone killed people. Wild. Not from any effect of the quake itself, such as a building falling upon them or something, but a quake of that high intensity created a screech through the atmosphere that killed many people simply from the sound of it. In many other places, the earthquakes were so intense that the earth was mostly clay. It liquefied and acted like a sea of mud swallowing whole cities, not just on the Lemurian mainland, but on many places throughout the planet. So if it was built on clay, if your society was built on clay, it shook it so much that it liquefied it, and the cities literally sank into the ground. Wild. It's the first time I've read that one. I had heard the other with the screeching. That's the first time I read that one. Another thing that came after that, as the continent itself went down, the tidal wave was so large that sometimes they went not hundreds, but thousands of miles inland. The equivalent of a tidal wave starting on the coast of California and completely taking out Oklahoma City. Tidal waves like that were rampant as well as the earthquakes. In many cases, in some areas, the shaking never stopped. It would be a constant swarm of, if not large ones, small earthquakes. Wild. Now, like you say, it was the thermonuclear war, right? Well, in one account, and maybe it'll say this in here, but in one account I read that how the Atlanteans sunk Lemuria, right? How the Atlanteans sunk Lemuria was they shot a nuke called Nara 1 down into the Mariana Trench as deep as it could go and then blew it up. And I think I have a theory that maybe that popped open one of the freshwater caverns in the subterranean pockets. Now they say there's, what is it, like, I want to say it's like 3 times the amount of fresh water in the subterranean pockets as there are on the surface of the ocean, the gallons of the ocean on the surface. So 3 times the water, fresh water under the subterranean pockets as there is in the entirety of the oceans, which is wild. And I mean, think about it. You know, how do you get to your well? You drill it, right? You drill it. So yeah, it makes total sense. There's water. There's a lot of water under the Earth's surface. So the hierarchies, the councils of this planet understood this was going to happen. So they tried to construct both cities prior to the destruction of Lemuria itself, understanding that the Atlanteans would not get a lot of construction done under those circumstances. Also, at the same time, the Great Pyramid in Egypt was constructed. Underneath the tutelage of the Lemurian high priest, better known as Thoth, or Thoth. In the Atlantean record chambers, which were geared to hold not only Atlantis' records, but Lemuria's, Pan's, Og's, Hyperborea. All of the other cultures that had existed reached high levels upon this planet. The Atlanteans moved into their city, and just about the same time, Lemuria sunk, moving in their first priesthood, their greatest scientists, some of their greatest thinkers, to try and preserve their lives against the coming cataclysms. Atlantis itself started shaking at the same time Lemuria was going down, and Atlantis continued to shake and lost parts of its land for 200 years before it too finally went completely down. Now, they do tell you, and I forget exactly where they say, but I'll read it. They do end up telling us where Atlantis really is located, where it sank. Okay? So that's kind of cool. For almost 2,000 years after the Atlantean and Lemurian catastrophes, the planet was still shaking. So what happened? All right, call us light masters. I like it. I appreciate you, bro. Cool. I'm glad you listen to me while you're thinking. Planet Tiamat. Dude, awesome, Dre. I'm so glad you just verified that, bro. So, okay. When the Annunaki got here, right, they had slaves already. Dude, and I've had that same theory, Dre. Dude, I've had that same theory forever, bro. I'm glad that's the first time I've ever heard anybody else verify that what I thought about that. So, what did he just say? The Anunnaki, right? The reptilian Anunnaki. Before they got to Earth and started harvesting all our gold, the reason they wanted to harvest our gold in the first place was because they wanted to replenish the atmosphere on their planet. They had some kind of technology that could probably break down gold into its monoatomic form, because that seems to be where it's most powerful, into its single atom form, its purest form. They had figured out a way, or at least they thought they had figured out a way where they could break it down, like more or less vaporize it, shoot it up into a beam or a ray to their atmosphere, and it would somehow recreate their atmosphere on planet Nibiru, right? On planet Nibiru. Because they had killed they essentially killed their planet because they're just so animalistic and barbaric that they can't stop fighting wars, all right? So they even ravaged their own planet, Nibiru, which is Planet X, which is the one that has the 3,000-year cycle. It's on a big old loop. Some theorize it's not even a planet, that it's actually just a big-ass mothership. But anyway, before they came to Earth, right? And this is awesome. I love this. I had a feeling, bro. They invaded planet Tiamat. Sorry, I get ahead of myself in my mind, and then, but they invaded planet Tiamat, which was between Mars and Jupiter, right? Well, planet Tiamat had a nation of people known as the Igigi, Igigi, Igigi. After they invaded, they took the Igigi prisoners, or hostage. They took them prisoner, and they blew up planet Tiamat, which is now our asteroid belt. They Death Star scenarioed it, right? They Thanos'd it. Well, they brought the Igigi to Earth, and they used them as slaves at first to harvest their gold. But after a while, they said, nah, this ain't happening. They revolted. They gained their freedom. And that's when the Annunaki reptilians created mankind and they used us as slaves instead. But the Igigi had gained their freedom. So they established on continent Lemuria. Well, thank God they did, because we would probably, like I said, who knows where we would be right now if it wasn't for them. They knew why they fought for us is because they probably they obviously knew what it was like to be slaves, to have their planet ravaged. I mean, planet Tiamat was highly technologically advanced. They were a super civilization without a question. They were a builder race. I also believe they might be the elongated skull people, Dre, maybe. I've kind of theorized that as well. So the Igigi ended up becoming the Lemurians. Now, I'm theorizing that they're the elongated skull people. I want to see. Yes, they are. Boom. There you go. I assume he's right? I mean, he's just, he's a G like that. But when theories coincide and they kind of, you click, I believe that they're elongated skull people. Paracas, Peru, if you want to know where the elongated skull people hail from. Paracas, Peru, they found a bunch of elongated skull people. And they are not the fake ones, right? They are not the ones that are artificially doing it. These people have elongated skulls from birth. They average what? I don't know. They were giants. They were probably, I would say they averaged anywhere from 8 to 12 feet tall. Maybe taller at times. Not sure. So all my videos in full, bro, they're on my YouTube, right? This guy, Isaac Gomez here. How do you sleep at night after talking about all this? Laugh aloud. It'll keep me up even more questioning stuff. Okay. Peru, Arizona as well. Okay, so they've actually found elongated skulls that far. Bro, Dre, one of these days, dude, I've been thinking about it. Let me know. And sorry, I'm just going off on a side. I know people don't like it when I go off on side tangents, and I'm gonna get back to my story, but I just wanted to let you know, bro, I've been thinking about maybe having and doing like a duet live or whatever you want to call it, maybe on TikTok. Maybe if you wanted to tell your story for one, and then just to talk about some stuff, because you're knowledgeable. So for sure, and maybe even a podcast, dude. Who knows? We could start something real shit, man. I just love your knowledge, dude. You're just very knowledgeable. And bro, he can find any source, dude. He can find anything. If I have a question, I just ask him. He finds sources like I've never found. But he's a dark web roamer. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the story. Sorry, guys. Sorry for that side tangent. So, for almost 2,000 years after the Atlantean, and I said the planet was still shaking, to lose two huge land masses within 200 years of each other, plus the planet was still witnessing the effects of the thermonuclear weapons that have been used by the Atlanteans and Lemurians, plus the fact that there was so much debris that had been thrown into the atmosphere that it never became quite bright daylight for almost 300 years, y'all. 300 years after Atlantis fell. This caused many, many life forms and plant forms on the planet to go extinct. Plants that were common in Atlantean times, common in Lemurian times, that no longer exist because they simply couldn't survive the long stages of filtered sunlight. Some have obviously survived, yes. Many animals and plants have, but a lot of them perished. So could you imagine it, you guys? Like, all that plant life and animal life, like, could you imagine seeing it if it had not perished? So the human condition in those civilizations that survived it, Egypt, Peru, Rome, Roma, better known as India, in many places, people became so frightened by the constant earth activity that civilization, even in the last, this was a weird word, bastillions, started deteriorating very, very fast. One question I have heard again and again is, well, if Atlantis and Lemuria existed, how come there's no evidence on the surface at all? Well, that is why. Most of the cities were shook to rubble. Those that were not shook to rubble were wiped out by earthquakes or wiped out by tidal waves. Even those who survived, even the tidal waves, even the earthquakes, hunger was rampant. Disease was rampant. Some areas of civilizations, like those future named Egypt and such, did survive. They even kept their civilization intact. But even they started losing the highest elements of their civilizations. Many, many machines quit working because of filtered sunlight. Many people moved from the cities. They started feeling that living in the city was a death trap because you never know when a building was going to fall on you. What would look like a very strong building, have it go through 300-400 earthquakes, it's a goner. Some buildings were built to withstand it. The Great Pyramid withstood the earthquakes, but it was built with sacred geometry. So that's one thing a lot of people don't necessarily know is pyramids are earthquake proof, and they built them that way on purpose. Okay? They built them that way on purpose. Other buildings like that throughout the planet survived. Most of the cities were completely reduced to rubble. In many areas, they rebuilt the cities, but even then, each time the cities were rebuilt, it was on a slightly less, should I say, technology. Each city was a little more primitive than the city built before it. The Atlanteans moved into their city, which was built underneath the... Okay, so here you go. This is where the Atlanteans built their underground city. This is the first time I've ever heard this one. Mato Grosso Plateau in what is now Brazil, which had been Atlantean territories at the time. So, you know, that's a little hint of where Atlantis could be. South America, maybe. I've even read that a lot of Antarctica was Atlantis. So there's a little hint as to where Atlantis is. Getting an understanding of what was happening on the surface, you can perhaps understand how the Lemurians or Atlanteans would prefer to be living underground. So there's theories too right now going on that the military or governments are building a lot of underground bases or DUMBs, deep underground military bases. And this is why. Because, so I heard the other day, I was watching this crazy movie called Pig. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, dude, like Nicolas Cage starts talking about this. There's a scene like where and it has nothing to do with the movie. Like it's total predictive programming. I mean, it's gotta be, but I'm not saying that doesn't mean I'm saying it's gonna happen. But I don't know if some of you saw it. I posted it on my Facebook for a while and my Instagram, but then I got a spam mail saying something about copyright, which it ended up being nothing, so I deleted them. But basically, Nicolas Cage just goes on this tangent talking about how every 200 years there's a massive earthquake on the West Coast that literally topples everything, every bridge, every building. And the people that survive the initial earthquake, which is going to be very few, will look up and they will see a tidal wave 40 stories high. And that's going to wipe out the rest. So Every 200 years, that's what they say. Pretty crazy. I'm not sure if it's true, but it was really weird in the movie, guys. I mean, it wasn't a very big movie, but all of a sudden, dude, like they're talking and he just goes on this tangent about how nothing matters anyway because of this. And I was just like, where the hell did that come from, bro? Like, why did he just start talking about some earthquakes, that happen every 200 years? And I'm thinking, light bulb, you know what I mean? Hollywood knows a lot we don't, guys. So before you write movies off as just total fiction, don't. You know what I mean? So during this time, there was an integration more and more with the Agartha network. As I explained earlier, it's not Agartha, it's Agartha. Agartha is a confederation of several subterranean cities. As a matter of fact, there is over 120 of them. Some of them, so this is 120 subterranean cities underground, guys. Wild stuff. Some of them, they were built in the very early times, like Shamballah the Lesser, which is peopled with beings from Hyperborea. There you go. These are 12-foot tall beings. The giants. Beings as man on this planet, as on many other planets in the solar system, with originally of a height of about 12 feet. So they're saying that basically, on average, we're short as shit. We're short. So most people or most beings are 10 to 12 feet tall throughout the universe, which is crazy. So when we lost the mantle and started reaching more and more rays from the sun to the planet that we were not used to coping with, it caused change within our bodies. So they're talking about us. Already, by the time the Lemurian and Atlantis sunk, man had gone from 12 feet to 7 feet. Thus, the Atlanteans and Lemurians were around 7 feet and still are. And as you can see, there has still been a lowering of height on this planet. Big time. Thus, people have gone down to now, for foremost, less than 6 feet. We have lost over a whole foot in just 10,000 years. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. So basically, they're saying sun is what causes people to shrink. And I actually read something the other day that sun actually is what ages people much faster than the people in the subterranean pockets. The people in the subterranean pockets actually live much, much longer than us. Because A, sun, B, they don't eat meat. And I know that sounds shitty because I love meat too. But meat is actually a longevity taker, right? So in just over 10,000 years, we lost a foot of our height. However, that trend is starting to reverse itself. And as our spirituality is growing greater, we are slowly returning back to our original heights on this planet. Now, I can agree with that. We are getting taller on average, right? People are getting bigger. Within the Agartha network, the cities that are allowed to join are only those that are based on light principles, only those that are based on love, only those that do not hurt, and only those that are based on non-aggression. Within the Agarthian network, besides Telos, which is the capital, there are 4 more cities, for instance, that are based on Lemurian technology and Lemurian ideals. One is called Rama, which is underneath India. Arama being the original name of India. Arama culture is consisted of people that are almost pure Lemurian, before the so-called Aryan race entered India. The other 2 cities that hold an allegiance to Telos, but are very independent, are Olger cities. One is called Shonshi, which is under Tibet, not too far from the capital of Tibet. It is being sheltered from the surface by a Tibetan Lamazari. This is a Olger city. Olgers are a group of people that left Lemuria 40 to 50,000 years ago and situated themselves throughout much of what is Asia, India, and Central Europe. The second Olger city is called Shingla, Shingla is in the Gobi, or should I say, under the Gobi Desert. I mean, where do you? I mean, how do you make this shit up, right? How do you make this shit up? It's really cool. I mean, really freaking cool. Under the Gobi Desert. This too is an auger city. On top of the Atlantean city, which is called Posdid, Posedid, that went underneath the Mato Grosso Plateau. There is also another Atlantean city, just a little further north, and there's another Atlantean city that is underneath the Atlantic Ocean, and several other small satellite cities throughout the planet. As I said, plus there are several independent cities that are not a branch of any of the larger cities that have simply built subterranean cities to escape things that have happened on the surface. So, guys, multiple cities, multiple different civilizations in the subterranean pockets, right? Really cool, and I people they could say it's fantasy all they want, but I'm telling you, there's subterranean cities going on. There is a whole nother civilization under our feet, fam, under our feet. When are they going to expose? Why are they going to expose? Or who? Or whatever? When are they going to just tell everybody about it? I don't know. I have no idea. But there is a old tale that another great Earth War is going to take place, and it's going to be devastating, right? It's going to be devastating. But it's going to look like evil will finally prevail. Basically, the reptoids want to take over planet Earth, and they have since the Annunaki days, right? Since the Annunaki days. And they will not stop until they get totally wiped out, is what I'm thinking. So what's going to happen? It's going to look like evil will prevail. It's going to magnetic trains, cool. Yes, I believe that 100%. What's going to happen, though, is it's going to look like the reptoids or whoever the evil faction on Earth are going to prevail, and they're going to be able to take over our planet and achieve their goal once and for all, right? But that is when all hope looks like it's going to be lost. And think about a movie that this reminds you of. Right before all hope is lost, every civilization in the subterranean pockets is going to emerge onto the surface, and they are going to stomp evil out once and for all. And it's going to be the last Earth War before hundreds of thousands of years of peace on Earth. And good will prevail. I like that ending, right? So, back to the story. Mount Shasta, the city itself, Telos, as I said, is built under a dome that reaches quite a few hundred feet from floor to ceiling and spreads across most of what would be the base of Mount Shasta. Looking from the outside, the top of the dome is about halfway up the mountain. The bottom of the dome is just about even with the base of the mountain. Underneath that are 5 more levels that have been constructed. These levels take up space so that the deepest levels are about a mile below the ground level at Shasta. The rest of the city is built on 5 levels of several square miles across. These levels are divided up by usage. Now, this is interesting. The top level, being under the dome itself, is where the main part of the city is. This is where the majority of the people live. This is where the public buildings are. Most commerce takes place here. The second level is where manufacturing takes place. Some classes take place, and also more people live. The third level down is totally hydroponic gardens. That is so crazy to me. That's where we grow all of our food and supplies. Hydroponic gardens, y'all. Like, what's up? The fourth level down is half hydroponic gardens, part nature, and part manufacturing. The final level down is what we call our nature level. This is the level that is more than a mile in some spots below the ground. In this level, we have created lakes, tall trees, park-type atmospheres, and this is where the animals live. We have had animals underneath for so long that they have lost their aggression. That at different temples, Priests and priestesses worked, you might say, with their ancestors, removing the need of fear, since it is fear that creates aggression, not only in humans, but also in animals. Thus, we truly have the experience of lions laying with lambs. In nature, this is where people have come to relax. This is also where we have saved many animals and plants from extinction. The lion layeth with lamb, right? The lion layeth with lamb in Telos, or the subterranean pockets. Could you imagine it? They had to learn to, they were going to go extinct up on the surface of the earth. So, you take them down here, and they had to learn to live among the people, right? What? Among the people. Like, now you can go down, so you can basically go down the subterranean pockets, and I down here it'll tell you. Here, I'll tell you. I'll just tell you. Right. I'll read it. It's crazy. It's crazy. In these nature levels, as I said, many plants and animals have been preserved from extinction by being placed with the nature levels of Telos, Posted, and many other subterranean cities. Thus, we do still have many of the plants that are extinct on the surface. So when I say we, you guys, if you're new to the live, this is written from the perspective of a alleged or a claimed Lemurian, okay? A possible princess or something like that. She said her name was. Hold on, let me tell you her name. Shamballah Dux, D-U-X, from Soulwise website. So if you want to read it, pretty crazy. Okay. We still have saber-toothed tigers. We still have mastodons. We still have your proverbial dodo bird, but they don't have any dinosaurs, which I found interesting. They were a little too big to keep. However, some dinosaurs do still live in the areas of the Congo and areas of the rainforest in the Amazon. Plus, there are many seagoing dinosaurs. Many seagoing dinosaurs, much like the famous Nessie in Loch Ness, and many others such as that. So, hey, there you go. Ancient sea creatures. What have we been, what was TikTok blowing up about all summer? Ancient sea creatures, right? Sightings of these sea creatures. There was the guy who spotted or started to, this guy more or less started to communicate with sirens, right? Sirens, right? Did you guys watch him at all on TikTok? Pretty crazy. It's not a book really, bro. It's just a source. It's like a website. It's called, I can give you guys, I'll throw up the source. I understand it's not like original content, but it's still just really interesting reads. Like I said, I cited the source. I'm not trying to steal anybody's work or anything, but my God, I just had to read it to you guys. I had to share because it's just the accounts in this story here, like firsthand experience. It sounds like this chick, this person was living it. It sounds like she was there to me. So I'm like, well, why not? I'll give it a read. But it's like I said, her name is Shamballah, right? Yeah, Shamballah Dux, D-U-X. And then it says just from Soulwise website. And you guys are lucky I'm sharing that source with you because that's a freaking killer source. But I just don't want I don't want anybody to be out here like, oh, he's just stealing, robbing content, and not even trying and all this. So I figured I'd share it with you guys and let you know that, yeah, very, very interesting. Very good read so far. So I'm going to continue on. Okay, so in these levels, this is the nature level. This is the nature level of the subterranean pockets. In these levels, people find they are able to integrate with animals that would normally be dangerous, simply by getting animals over fear. And these animals have also been, this is interesting, fed a vegetarian diet, including the thing like such as big cats, for going on thousands and thousands of years now, which has also taken away their aggression. So according to her, she said a vegan diet for the animals, they're getting the protein and all that. A vegan diet for them has lowered their aggression. Now, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? So what do you get when you eat meat? You get their testosterone, you get the protein, but you also get all their pheromones, right? Like I was telling a girlfriend of mine here, my ex-girlfriend, but we're still friends. I know I say it all the time, but it's deer season here. It's getting ready to be deer season, right? And I'm a hunter. Well, my buddy, actually, I was talking to him on the phone while the ex-old lady was standing there. He's kind of new to hunting. He's never got a deer yet. He's my best friend, so I'm hunting with him. I'm letting him hunt out on my mom's property. She got 40 acres, so I'm kind of trying to set him up to get a buck, right? And we were talking about how people take doe. Well, I don't like to take doe that have two fawns with them because they're good breeders, for one, and just it's cruel, my neighbor guy, if it's brown, it's down, and I'm not cool with that. I don't like it, especially when I've been watching a doe in my field for 5 years that had 2 yearlings every year, 2 fawns every year. So a lot of times one would be a button buck. Now you don't want to take her out of the herd because she's got good genetics, right? Well, doe are better eaten. That's why a lot of people take doe. So the reason being is because bucks, and this relates to this, because when bucks are in rut and when they're chasing, when it's time to breed, they produce a pheromone. Like they have these glands on their like, it'd be like their elbow, but it's their legs, They have these glands that secrete this pheromone, but literally, you can, if the buck is big enough and he's swole enough, you can taste it in the meat when you eat it. Literally, you can taste you call it it's not this, but you call it pissy, right? You know what I mean? It's like a just a musky smell. You can taste it in the meat. So that would make sense as to why these lions and tigers and the bears, oh my, right? Are aggressive because they're eating this meat that has these pheromones and this testosterone in it that is for mating and aggression. It's for fighting, for that female, right? So you go eat that and you're going to be aggressive. This is stuff that, to me, I don't know. To me, science hasn't, they haven't really touched on it. You know what I mean? Can eating that make you more aggressive? It makes sense. Sorry, guys, just wanted to read the comments over here. There's a little debate going on. I'm not gonna touch on it. I'm gonna let them do their thing. But so yes, a vegan diet is making the animals in the subterranean pockets less aggressive. Wild, right? Wild. Since they've been on the vegan diet for thousands and thousands of years, their aggression is gone. Therefore, you are able to go down there and in many instances, taking into consideration their great size and strength, you're basically able to play with a saber-toothed tiger or a Bengal tiger much as you would a house cat by scratching their chest, under their ears, or even pulling their whiskers. Could you imagine it, dude? Rolling around with a saber-tooth? Come on. That's epic. Can I say this is for 100% fact? No, but I believe it. So, Hey, you know what they say? Truth is stranger than fiction. All right? That's one of my favorite lines because it's true. I'm telling you, truth is stranger than fiction. Which brings us to the fact that even such as the large cats like that are not aggressive, but are actually very gentle and loving when raised in the right circumstances. Which brings us back again to the purpose of this eventual reintegration of the two cultures, the subterranean and the surface, to bring back out what has been preserved and what has been prepared, so that this again becomes one planet, one civilization, and that people will be able to live on the surface or in the subterranean cities or both at free will. Again, that is the whole purpose of this tape series and our work now at Telos Enterprises. There you go. That's her goal by sharing these stories. That's her goal. So a creature that can travel and does travel back and forth to the subterranean cities and does associate with the Lemurians, Atlantean, and creatures of the subterranean pockets are Bigfoot. Okay? Bigfoot's been around for millennia. He's known humans for millennia. Fought wars beside us and for millennia. Bigfoot is a love and light being, and he vibes at a higher frequency than you and I. And that's because they are all love and light, like I said. Heart chakra. Why, Bigfoot could be super technologically advanced. They could be living like, like kings and doing all the, same things as these Atlanteans and Lemurians are doing. Higher civilization, building massive pyramids. But Bigfoot chooses not to. Bigfoot would rather literally hunt and gather. Basically, that's what they like to do. That's what they enjoy doing. They love living in nature. They love being around their loved ones. And that's how they want to live. They don't care about all the fancy schmancy hubbub. I mean, really. So that's why they are so divine, in my opinion, or vibe at a higher level. They are actually here to guard the portals to inner Earth, the portals to the subterranean pockets, or the entrances, if you will. Because right now, humanity has not proved itself to being worthy of integrating. Okay? We are still too evil in our ways, in certain ways. We're not all. I think we are inherently good we're inherently good at birth and by rights. But right now, society's just got, it's just got things a little twisted up, man. A little confused, if you will. But we're good. We still got a chance. We're still all right. So, all right, that's the nature level. So diet and gardening is next. Back to the city, it says. The fourth level up, as I explained, is mostly hydroponic gardens. This is where I started reading one day. I kind of skipped all the top, but I ended up going back and reading it. This is where I was like, I got to go live and read this to you guys. So, I mean, I hope you're enjoying it. So, back to the cities I explained, mostly hydroponic gardens and a nature level. The third level is totally hydroponics. Hydroponics are how we grow and produce all of our food. And like I say, when I say our, it's the subterranean pockets civilization. Hydroponic gardens are able to produce crops almost on a constant basis, as you are able to grow food much, much faster using advanced hydroponics with very little soil and a lot of water. Therefore, also, you produce a form of gardening that does not need fertilizer and does not deplete the soil. We do still place in minerals and such into the plants, but with this hydroponic garden system that is actually quite small, being only several square miles, we are able to produce enough food and a large enough variety of food to feed over 1.5 million people, and to feed them with a diet that is variety enough to be interesting and fun. The diet, which is in Telos, consists almost completely of vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts, and different variations of these, such as your soy, your other grains that now produce what you call your meat substitutes. We have been on a vegan or vegetarian diet in Telos now for over 12,000 years, from the time when the city was first started being built. It was decided at that point that our diet would consist of totally vegetarian, therefore also removing the aggressive thought forms that causes animals to react so violently, and also the fact that a human body was not meant to be eating meat. It was meant to be on a vegetarian diet, and any other form of diet actually produces death and aging. Wild. So, I'll continue. What am I at here? About an hour here. So, I'll go for like an hour and a half, and then I'm gonna continue this one tomorrow after and just it's almost done. It's not gonna be a 5-day thing or anything like that, but I'm probably close to halfway done with this particular excerpt, but it just gives you a really cool, intriguing thinking of or something to think about. Story about what's going on under our feet, guys. What's going on under our feet, right? Crazy to think about. Very crazy to think about. Very intriguing. Even if it's not true, what a cool story, right? So the temple. On the second level, we have what is called our manufacturing level. This is where we produce clothing, furniture, art forms. This is also where many classes take place, and this is also some of the living levels. On the top level of the city itself, this is where most people live. This is where most commerce takes place. This is where, you might say, our heart and our soul is. These beings are very, very heart and soul, divine, love and light. Empaths, they're empaths. And you might say that the building that represents our heart and soul is the building that's directly in the center of the top level, which is our temple. It's a pyramid-shaped building. You may say a very large pyramidal-shaped building. The temple at Telos will hold 10,000 people. It was built to be able to hold almost half of the original 25,000 person population. It is dedicated to the Melchizedek. The Melchizedek, you may say, is a cosmic priesthood. Everywhere you go in the universe, you run across the Melchizedek. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm going to have to Google it. It is the organization whose sole purpose is to bring the plans of light to everywhere they go. The pyramid is white, and the capstone is a stone we call living stone. It comes from Venus. From the distance, it looks like crystal, but with light moving through it, it is a very strong color. Why is it called the living stone? Is it picks up the cosmic emulations of whatever ray is focused at the moment on the planet. The planet is set up in this. Now, this is intriguing right here. This, to me, right here, is how pyramids work, okay? Listen to this carefully. The planet is set up in such a way that the rays focus themselves about every 24 hours in an intensity on the planet. Thus, for instance, on Tuesdays, the blue ray is the most predominant ray on the planet. On Fridays, it's the white ray. Therefore, this living stone picks up the emulation coming from the solar rays, the light rays, and goes the color of the predominant ray. For instance, when the blue ray is in its greatest manifestation, the living stone capstone goes blue. This becomes, you might say, a slight reminder to us to work with the cosmos rather than against it. So when the blue ray is the most predominant, we try to restrict much of our business to the areas that are best served in the blue ray. For instance, we keep sensitive negotiations, to take place on those days. On the days, for instance, that the yellow ray is the most predominant, those are the days we spend mostly studying. Those are the days we spend on building intellect. On the days when the pink ray is the most predominant, these are the days that we go into the artistic endeavors. In this way, we have found that by working with the cosmos instead of against it, we are more often not able. They are more. Why? So, whoever wrote this Shasta or Shadula or whatever, you can tell She's very good at English, but you can tell it's not you can tell it's not her absolute language. She's good at it and she's smart, but her grammar is a little messed up once in a while. So, if they work with the cosmos instead of against it, they're able to achieve 4 times as much in a quarter of the time. You know what I'm saying? So they're able to work double time when they work with the universe. I imagine when these, so what I'm thinking is, and when these rays, right, change color and they emanate this blue, yellow, and pink color, each time they change color, the energy is coming from a different star system or a different cluster or basically just, like the Pleiades one time or the Orion the next, right? That's truly what I'm thinking is why it changes color and the vibe gets different. Like one time it helps them with artistic behavior. One time it helps them with their intellectual endeavors. And that's probably because of the origins of the energy and the constellation they represent. And the society or culture, the people or ETs, if you will, the factions they represent, right? Pretty cool. So it says, therefore, we are able to operate without stress most of the time. Cha-ching, right? So these people are so advanced, you guys. They create, their society is the pinnacle, right? Their society is where we should be, or what we should imitate, right? But yeah, hopefully someday. Wait till you hear, and this isn't come till the end, but wait till you hear their concept of birthing, right? Birthing and how they treat and how they act with a child in the womb, right? Just their thought process and their concept of how that pure soul, right, that a child is, from the time it's first conceived, right? From the time it's first conceived to the time it's born, they make sure that child is in nothing but a love and light situation. Like, it's really interesting and really just hit home for me. Like, wow, that makes so much sense, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna. I want you guys to hear this. Real quick. Okay, I'm just gonna skip to birth. I want you guys to hear this. Another thing that we do constantly is childbirth. Is that all our births are underwater. Okay? We have found that underwater births bring the greatest ease to both the parent and the child. Okay, so I'm going to step back here to conception. I started on the wrong one. Conception. This is awesome. Really, if you guys take anything away from this whole life, listen to this, okay? And apply it. I know I'm going to. Which brings us to, let's go through, for instance, a life of what it would be like for someone living in Telos with their conception or childbirth. In Telos, as soon as a woman realizes that she is pregnant, she immediately goes to the temple, and she's put in a room that gives nothing but beautiful pictures, music. She is constantly informed that she's beautiful. She's perfect. Her child is beautiful. Her child is perfect. So you might say that the very first cells of this child's conception is filled with beauty, with light, with perfection. And that is their building blocks. That's where they start. Just as they start just as they're starting to understand that emotions and such go right into a child's cells. For instance, they are stating to understand that a child who had parents that were constantly arguing during their conception and ingestion period, the child grows up insecure, quite often argumentative, or they will grow up totally feeling not good enough, totally feeling they are not wanted. It has been proven that children that have constantly heard from their parents before they were even born that I didn't want this child, whatever that child will constantly grow into, I'm not good enough. So we start the children off on the right foot immediately by continuously enforcing that they are good enough, that they are beautiful, a mother and a father, because a child's psyche bond, or child has a psychic bond to both the mother and the father. Immediately start talking to the child, start telling it how perfect it is. They spend lots of times viewing things that are beautiful. They spend lots of time singing to each other, playing funny games, in essence, going through a honeymoon phase again. So the child is all a part of that joy. That really, really hit home with me. I love that. Another thing that makes the child birthing process very different is they have a process that speeds it up. Therefore, a woman only carries a child for 3 months. In many ways, this is what the human condition was meant to be. Most human females on other planets only carry a child for 3 months. All it does from then is grow. This speeded up process, it is actually completed even sooner and just grows. So a 3-month baby, of course, will not be as big as a 9-month baby, but it will be in the speeded up process more than large enough to support itself on its own. But we are trying to return back to the time that we don't even need the speeded up process, and the whole pregnancy process returns to only being a 3-month process. Also returning to that place, women have much, much easier childbirths, as you can imagine. What? You know what I'm saying? What, bro? 3-month childbirth. Think about it. What? I mean, what? That's what our human condition is supposed to be? As a woman, you gotta love that idea, right? For all my ladies out there, think about it. It wouldn't be a preemie though. It's not a preemie. It's totally healthy, but they're born, they're born little, so the mom doesn't have to go through so much pain. Her chance of survival goes way up. I mean, nowadays it's not usually an issue, but back then, or whatever. I mean, and then to I mean, my God, when I have a kid, you know what I mean? That just changed my whole life right there. That single excerpt changed my whole outlook on a child and having a kid, right? Treat the kid as though, mom and dad are fighting and constant. Mom's always anguished and stressing her soul, and dad's always anguish and stress. What is that doing to that child, yo? You know what I mean? Like I said, saying things like, I didn't want this child, or I wasn't ready, makes that child automatically feel like they're not good enough, right? Man, that's real shit right there. That is not made up. You know what I mean? They automatically fill the mother's head with beauty and love and light and perfection, good music. The dad's coming home, from work or barter and whatever he's doing, and they're cracking jokes and having fun, right? He's catering to her, treating her as he should. I mean, wow, dude, you know what I mean? That just hit me. That hit me like, what? I gotta read this during my life. So I'm gonna continue on with it though. The birth, right? Another thing that we do constantly is childbirth. All their births are underwater. We have found that underwater births bring the greatest ease to both the parent and the child. Now, that is becoming more popularized, right? When a woman goes into labor, she immediately gets a birthing priestess, and then they go to a tub in one of the birthing sections of the temple, and the tub is filled with body temperature water. And the birthing priestess puts the mother in a slight hypnotic state. In this hypnotic state, she is in nowhere even resembling a trance, but she is simply told that there will be no pain. This suggestion, as well as the underwater birth, creates a comfortable environment, and most women never have any pain whatsoever. They simply feel the pressure. In an underwater birth, as many women are starting to discover now, when they are in water during labor, what would be labor pains simply feels like pressure. More and more, we are trying to alert women to this phenomenon. That is, pain on dry land is simply pressure underwater. This serves a second purpose. The child, when born into the world, is not brought from one environment into shock tactics as much as on the surface. So when a child is born, they are immediately pulled from a warm, comfortable, wet environment inside the fluid, the mom's fluid. They're born into a wet environment, into a cold, dry one with bright lights. I mean, the shock, right? So basically, they're trying to reduce the overall shock of the pregnancy or the birth, and in having that child, born from the same environment inside mama's belly. And wait till you hear this next part. And in the old days, they even used to slap them or spank them, right? Remember that? Slap the baby hole upside down. Wow. Stupid. Which immediately brought a human being, for those of you who know now, have dealt with rebirthing, into life that is hard. Life hurts. Life is painful as soon as they are out the womb. Thus, infants start shutting down from their time of birth, and they just continue to shut down. Thus, not ever achieving the spiritual and physical levels they could achieve, because they've already decided as soon as they exit the womb that it's already too much and life hurts too much fully to be here. I mean, wild, right? Crazy. In an underwater birth, a child goes from a warm environment right into a tub of warm water and is immediately cuddled by both parents, who get in the tub with the birthing priestess, and the child is cuddled and petted underneath the water so that it immediately knows that its parents are here for it. Therefore, it does not go into an insecurity feeling. From there, a child of its own will come to the surface. Now check this shit. From there, a child on its own will come to the surface and take a quick breath, and then dive down again and breathe from the umbilical cord, and then come to the surface on their own again and take a deep breath. This also expands the lungs slowly. The child can actually breathe for as much as a half hour on the umbilical cord underwater from once it's born. These quick breaths do not cause pain, and the tissue, some of it is actually damaged quite often in the births that are not in water, because a child's forced to come and take a deep breath right out of the fucking womb, deep breath out of cold air and painful air. That forces these lung sacs to immediately expand and create great pain, sometimes even creating scar tissue, which makes the adult more susceptible to things like tuberculosis, emphysema, asthma, and colic. Many other lung disorders that are very, very prevalent, and it also keeps the person, even as adults, from breathing deeply as their normal state. Now listen to this. Thus, they are always half alive because they are only half breathing. What? This is like next level thinking, fam. This is next level shit. Okay? Then, when the child has reached the point that they are breathing completely just the air, the umbilical cord is cut with a laser, which causes a very fast, painless cut. And, of course, the umbilical cord quits pulsating. And this is the last excerpt I'll read. And we'll continue on this one tomorrow. And I'm going to come up with other videos in the meantime. I'm going to do some research on Lake Baikal. That's a very interesting story. So I'm going to definitely do some research on that and probably do a story on it. Right now, guys, I can't post on TikTok or go live because they always be on some bull-ish. So that's why. But I did just post a good video on my YouTube. If you guys want to go check it out, I just posted a new video on my YouTube. And then there'll be this live. So, youth and education. This is the last paragraph I'm going to read. From their birth, a child is immediately assigned 12, this was wild, sets of godparents. The godparents give a child a chance to interact with more than just their birth family. True, they spend most of their time with their birth family, but also spending a little time here and there with each of their godparents as they grow up. It gives them a true sense of community and the brotherhood of men rather than just them and us. We are a very them and us society. We are a very, hierarchy society or closed society. We're definitely not a society of help thy neighbor, synchronicity, love and light. We're definitely a society of selfishness. I mean, how else do you say it? Don't help nobody. No, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We're a society of individualism, big time. I mean, most kids, they try to get to run away as far as they possibly can from family. Because why? Because unity equals power. So they want to separate everybody, divorce all of it, and it's working. It's working. But we could learn a lot from these civilizations. A lot. I'm glad you like this, Chloe. I appreciate you. Okay, so the child immediately starts looking at the whole world as their family instead of becoming very, very narrow and personalized like we are today. We need to wake up. This also keeps families from developing little cliques that in the long run become quite detrimental to developing a soul. What? Soul. Where you're saying, well, we just do things because my grandparents did it, and my great-grandparents, and my great-grandparents, and so on, which quite often produces thought patterns within a family that can be quite detrimental to the development of soul. By having 12 sets of godparents that the children spend time with, plus the fact that the child's parents are usually godparents to at least a couple of children, bringing other children to spend time with them that way too. As I said, it continually creates the sense of community. It constantly creates the sense of oneness. The old saying that is, if you wanted to stop prejudice, then you would immediately send the person to go live with that they have been prejudiced with, and they'll soon find out we are all just human. From there, as a child prepares for their education within the educational process in Telos, children start their first education at about the time they're 3 years old. Very much like your nursery school, except it is based on the fact of intelligence of a human being rather than the stupidity. That's funny. Thus, while children are very, very clear, sometimes clearer at 3 years old than they are at 5 or 6, making it easier, as many of you are starting to discover, of infants doing algebra, young children learning mathematics very, very early, learning to read very, very early. While it is 3, sometimes even earlier, is when children are starting to learn these things as well as playing. They are also taught the rudimentaries of mathematics. They are also taught to read. They are also taught to understand abstract concepts. They are taught to think, to understand how things work. I mean, we've all gone through the children period of why and why not, and the period when children were at the why stage, where everything you answer is why or how. We've learned to take that period, and instead of just saying, after being asked why on 14 questions, the parents quite often just flip out, and the next thing they know, they're telling their child to shut up. But if a society is set up that when children are in the why stage, they're already starting instruction, then that's used. The whys are being answered by professionals, and our professionals are more often than not priests and priestesses of the temple. There are those who are strictly teachers, but most teachers have gone through a full temple training. The purpose of that is that they are not only feeding the mind, but to help feed the soul and spirit as well. The understanding of what we're really meant for, not just calculations and words. Within this setup, as I said, children start schooling at a much earlier period as they move through their schooling process. We have learned that it is very, very acceptable and very important that a child, as well as being taught mathematics, science, spelling, grammar, literature, all the most common subjects in schooling, we find that it's just important that they learn to meditate. It's just as important that they learn to dance, just as important that they learn sports, just as important that they learn how to sing, and as important as they learn how to act. What I mean by act is that we've got 5-year-olds already writing and putting on plays that relate to 5-year-old problems and the 5-year-old way of looking at life, which can be quite humorous at times for adults, but they're already being allowed to express, and even the strict learning process is complemented with play. In this playing and learning through play and playing to learn concepts, children are allowed to totally express themselves in such a way that is acceptable. So many times children that are just buzzing to express themselves one way or another get in a lot of trouble because they don't have quite a few avenues to express themselves through, or the avenues that they have been given, including things like violence. The next thing you know, you've got a whole group of kids in the backyard playing Rambo, and they're bringing it right into the house. They start breaking things, and the parents wonder what's wrong with their kids. But in a process that allows them to express themselves, get out their extra energy, and learn at the same time, you might say the children are happier, the parents are happier, and everybody's happier about it. That's the last thing. But what a wild concept way to look at children, right? And the process by which they go to school, all of it. I mean, nowadays they want them to sit at a desk and just listen and write and not even, they got to be, that's why kids, nowadays, like what? Okay, ADD, here you go. Give them a script. Really? They're kids. They're not meant to sit at a desk 8 hours a day and stare at a freaking board, right? I mean, I don't know, man. We got a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn as a society. And honestly, I think if these people came up from the subterranean pockets, it'd be refreshing. We'd learn a lot. Just like the meditation thing. Spiritual matters is just as much as all this technological and all this, knowledge and history books and blah, blah. Half of it ain't even true. I mean, I don't know. We got a lot to fucking learn. We need to be humbled quick. We're like Idiocracy, bro. Compared to these people, we're like Idiocracy. You ever see that movie? Compared to these people, that's what we are. We got a lot to fucking learn. We got a lot to learn, a lot of growing to do. Hopefully we don't have to learn the hard way. I'm glad you liked it. Lori. I know, I'm sorry, I'm not, dude, I hope that the reading isn't too dry and I hope it's not boring, I guess. I hope we can change, bro. I hope we can change. Fade away was nice. Oh my God. What? Haha, that'd be cool. That'd be fun. Okay, cool. You guys didn't mind it? You didn't mind it? Sorry, guys. What's up? With an Oculus above. Interesting. So I just was reading over here. Let me write this down. Somebody was commenting here. Hold on here. I wanted to write this down. He was saying some interesting stuff. There it Okay. All right. I wanted to hear about this dude reading there. Hold on. Oh, yeah, the Flores man. Flow? Yep, I sure have. Hey, Night God, have you heard of the C Core? Yeah, this is a C Core. C Core power disaster in Louisiana. The earth coming up in Louisiana. Louisiana LS. The earth coming up in Indiana, he said. The earth coming up in Indiana. Interesting. Cool. All right. Yes, I agree. We aren't bad. I wasn't trying to overly bag on like us and our society. You know what I mean? We have a lot of inherently good things that we do, people. You know what I mean? But we just got a lot to learn too. You know, we just could change so much. I'd love to change the hearts of many. So yeah, like the breach bursts and like, you know, God, like, you know, after reading that, it's like I will do whatever it takes to never ever have any like. I'm not gonna make any turbulence or anything like that. No fighting while my kid's in the womb, all that stuff, you know. And yeah, like now I'd be considered like telling the old lady to have a water birth, a water birth. We've technologically advanced, seemingly spiritually declined. Well said. Well said. So why are we talking children? I was just the society, ancient civilizations that lived in the underground pockets. That's how they raised their kids. I just had to talk about it. So where's this Oculus at? What are you talking about, my guy? I walked around Toronto. Thing is mine in the pyramids. Same thing. 3 openings with an Oculus above. A guy did a thesis on the opening of the old churches built by the Masons. 3 openings. So, did anybody hear that CERN was supposed to start up their machine again, the God particle machine? I know we do for sure, Manny. Good. I'm glad, Chloe. I'm glad. I imagine you have children. What? 90 degrees, bro? He said accelerations are predicted. What do you mean accelerations? Yeah, certain. Yeah, sure. Now they just restart their particle machine or their. Yeah, pretty sure of it. They just turn it back on or something. What on earth is happening.com? I like it. What on earth is happening.com? Ka-ching. All right. A Krampus ritual. Chloe Confidential. Awesome. Yeah, Norton knows his shit. What's the Oculus on Facebook? Okay. Are you talking about the Oculus, like the AI thing, huh? You're talking about the AI thing. And the Shiva Dance of Destruction. It says Penthouse and Planned Parenthood are published by the same distributor. Rough. Yeah, I appreciate the information, Norton, for sure. Blake Norton. Kyle's the new Coast to Coast radio show. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try and start going live pretty much every night. That's messed up, though, on that CDC thing, my guy. Yeah, 12 godparents is excessive. But hey, man, you know. Nice. Good shit. DeAndre. Awesome. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, 3 months, right? Wild. 3-month birthing cycle. Wild. No info anywhere on what now again there, boss? Well, really, the Shiva statue was removed from the front of CERN. Bermuda Triangle and the Devil's Triangle are the other North and South poles. What? Whoa. No way. So the other North and South poles before the original shift? No shit on the CDC. Really wild. Yeah, sorry. Now I remember. Yeah, I'm not gonna mention that, bro, because that could fuck me over. Good night, Matt. Or Matt Dai. Tried. I got to try. They go back and forth cyclically. Do you think it could be that they shifted prematurely because of a war or a massive thermonuclear war? I wish, but yeah, I can't. Yeah, bro. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, dude. Because so I don't know if y'all heard over here. Sorry, I'm not just trying to ignore you guys either. But if you want, check out my YouTube live as well. My YouTube link, if you guys want, click the watch video tab on my page, right? On my Night God 333 page, right, where you guys check all my videos. Or just go down to the bio and I have my YouTube link right in my bio. Go sub my YouTube. I love when you guys sub my YouTube. So, yeah, bro, I never did look into Mel's Hole. I need to do that. Dang it. I got a lot of content on deck, bro. I got some good stuff coming up. But no, yeah. You can't. But the problem is, there, Miss Lori, is you can't get into that portion of the Grand Canyon. Wild. The galactic current sheet sets off the sun's micronova every 12,000 years, this guy says. The elites. Kyle for Prez. I'll take it. No way. You have your ways. You can get me into those temples, then I'll fly out whenever you're ready. You can get me into those temples, then that's next level shit. I'd freak, dude. I can't really even probably record it. I'd probably end up dead if I tried to post it or something. Do I believe BitChute is a proper source of credible information? Dude, honest to God, there's a lot of good. I mean, you always got to just be skeptical of every source. But man, yeah, BitChute's legit, dude. BitChute is all the misfits that couldn't make it on, like their content was too intense for regular platforms. BitChute is the banned YouTubers, I guess, if you say that. It's the banned YouTubers. The Great Wars are caused by the Kali Yuga, the yin and yang. It's a cycle, nothing new. I was wondering if you were still here, DeAndre. Yeah, keep an open mind, bro, because more of it's true than you want to know. I dig BitChute. I mean, that seriously, it's like it's the people that get into the rawest of raw conspiracies, man. There's no filter on BitChute. But I'm trying to make money, so I got to keep it. You know, I'm trying to do something with this. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Oh, yeah, it does, dude. Did you just get in, Adam Smith? Did you just get in live, bro? Because I've been talking about it the whole time, brother. Mount Shasta and all that, yeah. So if you want, though, dude, after this, I'll post the live to my Facebook page. I post all my lives. Haha, UNICEF reptile. No, it's an NBA player. It's an NBA player. And actually, I'm getting ready to contact him to do that podcast, right? I also just had somebody who is a country singer who opened up for or opens up for Blake Shelton. Hit me up. Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm glad you like my reels. I'm glad you didn't complain because everybody likes to friggin' complain. People act like I intentionally stop my videos at 30 seconds. I mean, come on. Well, you know, like I'm clickbaiting them on purpose. No, dude. It's not how it is. Whoa, nah, that's cool. Really? Interesting. That's a good theory. I believe it could be both. Oh, yeah, bro. I'm on Facebook, brother. The Abyssal Chaos. Yes, bro. I swear to God, you guys, this is cool. Actually, I'm kind of like proud to say I think I'm one of the only storytellers on Facebook Reels right now. There's not very many people telling stories on Facebook Reels right now. And I think it's because it's 30 seconds. You know what I mean? I think it's because it's 30 seconds. Which makes sense because on the moon, they got meteorital impacts all the time. This guy said nuclear glass and beads are found on the Earth and the moon. Haha, excelente. I appreciate you. I love Spanish. Thank you so much. And I love Mexican lore. It's amazing. Your culture is very interesting. Up the pyramid in AZ. No kidding. Probably the ISIS one. Yeah, I'd like to see that video you're talking of there, Norton. If you find that, dude, hit me up. Send it to my messenger on either, you could share it to my Instagram messenger or anybody who has any stories or any videos that they think I should watch. Night God 87 at Proton Mail, completely private. Also, if you have any stories yourself that or any experiences, alien encounters, Sasquatch, Wendigo encounters, you name it, Men in Black, I want to hear it. Message me on my Proton Mail, Night God 87 at Proton Mail. Like I said, it's completely confidential. I'll never mention your name or nothing like that. But if you guys think you have a cool story that might be some good content, email me. Oh, yeah. You're talking about, oh, God. What the heck's his name? Now, I keep wanting to say Bogdanovich, but that's actually an NBA player. Russian boy genius. Yeah, dude. I'm tired. It's foggy. But I got videos on that, bro. I got videos on that. City of Glass. I know, right? You know the messed up part about that, Lori? She said, ignore the complaints. You owe them nothing if they can't follow simple instructions. Find full videos on YouTube, then they aren't worth your time. I go through, and actually, I finally figured it out because I was going through and I was messaging every single person who sent me a message on my Facebook complaining about why my videos cut off. But I finally downloaded the Facebook Creator app or Business app, and I set up my automated message explaining why the videos are only 30 seconds and they cut off, and then I send them a link to my YouTube so they can complain enough. Cool. Send some cool stories. I love it. Yeah, no, he was very smart. He told about how he was a Martian. This Russian boy genius. I know, right? um, yeah, he would talk about how he was a Martian in a previous life, and that the Martians and the Egyptians worked very closely when building the pyramids, and he would talk about the universe before he was even taught it as a kid. Yeah, no, very smart kid. He's actually like in his late 20s today, and he is still alive. But he's more or less kind of hidden and kept like hidden, more or less. What is that one, hon? It's the video of the man on the boat. Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna tell you that's actually really cool, but that's as short as that video is. That's not a long video. Uh, many theories on that. It's either, are you the one that really wanted the song too? Oh, damn, Slender Man. Ugh. He creepy. I can't sleep at night when you don't finish the stories, bro. That's funny. That's funny, dog. It says the Kraken on the one vid. Yeah, okay, no. So that video I found, but that's pretty much where it cuts off. Like it doesn't show what's protruding from the water. So could it have been a sea creature? Sure, but a lot of people said it was just an iceberg flipping over. Now, I kind of maybe am leaning towards it was an iceberg flipping over, but the whole point is I believe in sea creatures and they are out there. So my thought process on that, posting that was, for one, it's just a cool ass video, and two, it gets the blood boiling, it gets people thinking about it. And it could have been. It could have been. No, I don't know for sure. It very well could have been a Kraken or a Cthulhu, but a lot of people said it was an iceberg. But on videos that I post that are real, usually the number of bots they send to discredit it is a lot. So, But anyway, okay, guys, this is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you for this live. This has been a good one. It's almost 2 hours now, so I like to cap it at 2 hours. That's been a long live. So it's been awesome, guys. Make sure you guys over here on Facebook, you guys go and subscribe to my YouTube. Make sure you guys here on my YouTube go check out my Facebook page. I'm really close to getting monetized on Facebook. I have the 10,000 followers. I'm blowing that out of the water. I just need 600,000 view minutes. Yeah, cool, man. Thank you. Awesome. Hey, I'm telling you, man. My Facebook platform is really, really. I mean, I think I looked at my analytics on my YouTube studio, and my Facebook platform is accounting for like 70% of my subscriber increase. So thank you guys. That rocks. Facebook just opened a whole nother world for me with the Reels platform. It's a strong world. It's a lot stronger than I'm thinking. I'm going to have 100,000 followers within. I'm thinking less than a month's time. I'm going to have 100,000 followers. So I'm super stoked about that. About to get monetized. So yeehaw. Things are going to change for me, man. And I'm not trying to brag or anything like that to you guys, but I have grinded my ass off without pay on this for well over a year. And I remember looking at it when I first started TikTok, and I was putting in 16 hours a day, and that's just on TikTok. That's like recorded on TikTok time. Like, not when I'm off on my website studying shit up or checking in sources and listening to stories. My fans have been a huge help for my content. Guys like, my people, Jay up there, and then DeAndre, man, he's my guy. He's always sharing awesome sources with me on my Instagram. So a lot of you guys do. If I haven't mentioned your name, I apologize. But yeah, so I appreciate anything you guys do and all you guys do for me. I wouldn't be anything without you guys. So keep it up. Keep watching my stuff, and I'll keep providing you with the wild and crazy, cracking craniums, finding gems, peeps. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the light. I love you guys. Rock on. And hey, I'll see y'all tomorrow most likely. So peace. Bye, Ms. Lori.